Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you've been following the AI space lately, you're probably completely exhausted by the endless debates over benchmark scores, right? We're constantly asking, which model is smarter? Who's got the highest coding IQ? Well, what if I told you that everything we think we know about the AI coding agent wars is actually slightly off target? The real battle for dominance? It isn't happening in the neural networks anymore. It's happening in a layer you might not even be paying attention to.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Everyone out there is totally obsessed with model IQ and performance benchmarks, but behind the scenes, the industry is actually shifting its massive resources to something else entirely, the operational control plane and reducing friction. Why? Well, because frontier model performance is slowly commoditizing. It's leveling out. The actual bottleneck for developers and enterprises isn't that the AI isn't smart enough to write code anymore. The bottleneck is operational friction. It's the sheer, literal danger and cost of letting an autonomous agent run wild in your systems.
Now, before we look at the hard evidence of this massive industry-wide pivot, let's explicitly define what we're actually talking about here. A control plane is basically the underlying operational system. It's the management layer that handles all the approvals, the routing, the policies, observability, and session continuity for autonomous AI agents. Think of the AI model as a massive, powerful engine. Well, the control plane is your steering wheel, the brakes, the dashboard, and the GPS. Without it, a powerful engine is honestly just a giant liability.
Okay, put your detective hats on for a second. Over the span of just a few days, OpenAI, GitHub, Anthropic, and Google all quietly updated their documentation and operational policies. So why did the Big Four do this at the exact same time? Look, it wasn't a coincidence. It represents a massive, completely hidden industry consensus. They've all realized that to actually sell these agents to enterprises, they have to solve the management problem, not just the intelligence problem.
And this brilliantly illustrates that shift. The evidence is overwhelming across the board. OpenAI is heavily pushing mobile approvals and auto-review. GitHub is implementing auto-routing and multi-agent workspaces. Anthropic, they're putting open telemetry and managed policies right front and center. And Google's Jules now requires plan approvals and virtual machine isolation. Every single one of these tech giants is actively trying to solve the exact same operational bottlenecks. They're all building their control planes. Let's look a bit closer at OpenAI. Their recent push includes a really telling phrase, work with codecs from anywhere. They are explicitly designing codecs so you can check on its progress, give new instructions, and approve actions asynchronously right from your phone. The files and credentials, they stay locked down securely on a remote machine while your phone just gets the screenshots and the diffs. They're treating the AI not as a standard chatbot, but as a long-running remote worker that requires a slick, low-friction supervision interface. But here's the brilliant way OpenAI is actually solving the human bottleneck. Because if an agent has to stop and ask a human for permission every 5 minutes, well, it's basically useless. So OpenAI is deploying secondary AI agents whose entire job is just to review the primary agent's actions. And the data is wild. We're talking a 200x reduction in manual interruptions, a 99.1% valid approval rate on escalated actions, and a 99.3% recall on prompt injections. The approval button is literally moving from a human user interface to an automated policy layer.
Now, over at GitHub, they are completely transforming how models are chosen. Auto model selection is no longer just a cute feature to match developer preference. It's a ruthless, automated routing system. Copilot now evaluates real-time system health. It enforces admin exclusion policies, and it even factors in economics, like automatically applying a 10% premium multiplier discount. Model selection is becoming the economics of the control plane, dynamically balancing cost, availability, and policy in real time.
Anthropic and Google are pushing equally hard into governance. Anthropic's product documentation now leads with open telemetry, exporting metrics every 60 seconds and logs every 5 seconds so enterprises know exactly who is spending what. Meanwhile, Google's Jules enforces mandatory pre-code plan approvals inside fully isolated virtual machines. The consensus is deafening. Who approved this and can we audit it is now vastly more important than did it write the code slightly faster.
Let's think about how this changes the actual workflow. We're all used to a simple chat interface. You prompt, the AI responds. Super simple, right? But a real developer workflow is vastly different. An agent needs to clone a repo, write the code, run tests, fix failures, and finally create a pull request. This isn't a single quick generation. It's complex session management over a long period of time. As tasks get more complex, a control plane isn't just nice to have, it is absolutely necessary to keep the train on the tracks.
So the crucial point is this brings us to a massive paradox. Adding safety and approvals to AI agents inevitably makes them slow down. And when a tool is slow or annoying to use, users are incredibly tempted to just bypass the security entirely, giving the AI full access just to get the job done. The ultimate control plane is one that minimizes that approval friction while still maintaining strict boundaries. If it fails to do that, you end up with catastrophic budget leaks. And speaking of budget leaks, let's talk about $187. Now I know, that might not sound like a bankruptcy-inducing amount, maybe just a really nice dinner out, but imagine that scaling across an entire enterprise development team. This specific dollar amount perfectly highlights the completely hidden dangers of automated agents running wild without a proper control plane.
This number comes from a real-world case study recently shared on Kita. A developer was using Claude Code. They had an exposed environment variable, an Anthropic API key, just sitting there in their .in file. Because of how the system prioritized authentication, this single key totally bypassed the developer's fixed-cost subscription limits and instantly started racking up usage-based API billing charges, burning through $187 before they caught it. This wasn't the AI hallucinating bad code. This was a catastrophic control plane failure regarding environment variable precedence. It is a pure operational failure.
Moving on to Section 1, the new evaluation framework. So, if benchmark scores are no longer the ultimate metric, how should we actually be thinking about these tools moving forward? We need to pivot from obsessing over the problem to mastering the solution. Whether you're an enterprise manager, an investor, or just a solo builder hacking away, you need a brand new way to measure the value of an AI coding agent. The new leaderboard relies on these 5 axes. 1. Isolation. Is the environment totally secure and containerized? 2. Observability. Are there robust logs and telemetry? 3. Policy. Can you manage rules and permissions effectively? 4. Continuity. Does it maintain session state seamlessly? And 5. Cost control. Are there hard budget limits? Look, if an agent tool doesn't excel across these 5 axes, its raw intelligence simply does not matter.
For the investors and tech leavers watching, pay very close attention to this. The future moat in AI is not the frontier model. Models are rapidly becoming interchangeable compute layers. Long-term customer lock-in will actually come from the workflow operating system, the control plane. Whoever owns the routing, the approval flows, and the observability dashboards, they own the customer. Because even if a user swaps out the underlying model for a newer one, they aren't going to leave the platform that securely orchestrates their daily operations. We always want to leave you with practical steps. So here are your immediate action items to audit your own projects right now. First, pick just one automated workflow you use today and map it out. Second, clearly define its approval nodes and absolute cost limits. Third, implement session start verification hooks so you don't fall victim to one of those environment variable disasters. And finally, require asynchronous approval channels like mobile pinging for any long-running tasks. Fortify your workflows today.
I want to end this explainer with one really provocative question for you to reflect on. As you scale up your own automation, who or what actually controls your AI agent's budget and approvals while you are sleeping? If you don't know the answer to that, or if your answer relies purely on trusting the model's intelligence, well, it is time to start building your control plane. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep building smart, but more importantly, keep building safe.